Wow, true companion, Sacho Sati, Dada Vaswani. Translation Swami Bodhraj Sahib. Cheerfulness, Prasanta. To keep face smiling under all circumstances is called cheerfulness. Everyone looks cheerful when he's happy, but credit lies in looking cheerful even in misery. Summon bonum of millions, statum is do not make yourself miserable. Have faith in God and keep yourself cheerful in all circumstances. Be a jewel in all vicissitudes of life, for jewel has the same value and luster whether it is embedded in clay or is mounted on the crown. It is not right to depress your heart at every little reverse in this fickle world. Spend your life in a shining way, even like a shining candle. The lamp illumines equally the assemblies convened for marriage or mourning. You keep your heart cheerful and favorable as well as adverse circumstances. The true alchemist is one who turns a moment of agony into joy. Life is another name for happiness. What joy can life give? If the heart is dissolving in worry, sobriety is all fine, but nothing can equal cheerfulness. Keep your countenance smiling. With cheerfulness, one can purchase those things which cannot be had even with unbounded wealth. What need is there of paradise if one possesses a painful mind and a healthy body? Keep your mind steady even amidst changing times or in changing states of the body. This magic will remove all kinds of miseries instantly. He alone enjoys the bliss of oneness who remains unperturbed in changing conditions. This will also pass away. It's a magic mantra and is so efficacious that by its constant contemplation one keeps himself alert and gets over all the ups and downs of the world. He neither gets depressed in sorrow nor gets elated in joy. Oh brother, keep yourself cheerful, fresh and fragrant like a flower. The world is God's garden in which you are God's flower. Freedom, azadi, swatantrata. If a mind and senses are under control, what other freedom there can be? Oh brother, shatter the bonds of the mind, that is, keep the mind under your control. Move freely like the air in the garden of the world. Enjoy fragrance of the flower, but do not let the flower be a prison for you. By all means, go around the museum, that is the world, but do not get stuck up anywhere. Entertain your heart by extracting virtues from all worldly things, but do not forge a chain to bind it yourself. Attachment is a great snare. As long as I had not put my turban on my head, I had no need for winning favors of anyone. Surprisingly, this turban of honor has made me a supplicant. Laughter time. If one gets a sound sleep on bare ground, it makes no difference whether he sleeps on the bare ground or on the bedstead. If one does not get a sound sleep, even in cushions and bedsteads will pick him like thorns. To attach one's heart to anything is to subject oneself to pain. Therefore, do not go in for attachment and so avoid pain. Be fair as the air. Be free as the air. Be not attached. By not attaching the heart to the colorful things of the world, I got a glimpse of the one who is colorless. When I disowned everything, it all became my own. Live in the world as fragrance in a flower. Do not so behave as to become a burden on someone. The earth is the floor and sky the roof for me. So wherever I go, I have no my residence. My reflection, it will be found that everybody is free from all things at all times. Everyone has a separate body and has ears, eyes, nose, senses, etc., which are strictly his own. No one person is joined to another, hence freedom is there from thy very heart. The mind is already free, for it does not get fixed at one place. The senses are free as in spite of a man being occupied by all kinds of work. Nothing gets attached to his senses. Breath is as free as it comes and goes on its own volition. All worldly things are free as no one can hold them forever. Everything thus is free. The world is really a garden of freedom. Wealth affords solace to the heart of only that man who is ignorant. A friend is a friend as long as one occupies position and possesses wealth. High position is like a shadow of flying birds. Children and property are like a bondage. One who realizes this and holds by it is free. He is free who is not under the control of his mind or senses. No outside force can hold a man in bondage. His own inner senses keep him in bondage by subjecting him to desires, and it is his own mind that binds him in the chains of expectations. O brother, mix with every one, but keep yourself unattached, even as the air, while enjoying the place of the all color. Enjoy all the bliss of one whose color lives. Conversation, guftagu, watala, Let every word be as a pearl in the rosary of your conversation, so that the listeners of your conversation get fascinated by each word. The tongue is secured within 32 teeth in order that you may think 32 times before uttering a word. Otherwise, there was no reason to enclose the soft tongue in such a strong hold. Talking too much is a sign of stupidity, and talking too little is a mark of wisdom. The wise man thought it necessary to cut the tip off the pain when it jutted out. Similarly, the tongue that protrudes every now and then needs to be cut. The sound of a bell of a caravan serves as a signal to the robbers to fall upon the caravan to plunder it. Who says that the loud voice is not harmful? Too much sweetness causes sickness. Too much talk, even though sweet, will be disagreeable. The one who knows the art of speaking speaks less. The little talk by the wise man brings about good results, while too much talk by a foolish person aggravates disorder. Bitter and rude words are spoken profusely, whereas sweet and genuine words are spoken sparingly. Arrange each word as sweet-smelling flower in the bouquet of conversation. Wise men have likened a sweet word to a pearl, but some people have acquired such an art of speech as to make every word of it directed about the pearl. The wise man is the master of his tongue, but the foolish one is the slave of his tongue. The heart of a foolish man is in his mouth, but the mouth of a wise man is in his heart. Wise man speaks through heart, whereas his foolish man speaks through lips and not from heart. It is easy to advise others, but difficult to listen to others' advice. He who listens and contemplates is a wise man, but the one who only speaks is a fool. God has given 2 ears and 1 tongue, so that you speak only half as much as you hear. The one who speaks will have to end his speech at some time. Hence, do not be impatient to butt into your speech. Better give a chance to the other person to have his full say. If you are to turn your ears inwards and listen to the voice of God, you will hear sweet enchanting tunes of Muli emanating from every star in the sky, sweet melodious tunes of radio radiating from every leaf of a tree, and conversation of yarn issuing from every grain of dust. O wise man, everything in this world is conversing with you. Keep your ears attuned as to listen to the instructive conversation of everything that is in this world. Silence. Shanti Mat. I asked, what is the language of God? The reply was silence. Were you to learn the language of silence, would you be able to converse with God? No one plucks in the bud as long as it is shut. When it begins to blossom open, everyone starts to pluck it asunder. Similarly, as long as the tongue is shut, the misery and mishap comes near it. No misery, mishap comes near it, but when it opens, it invites 100 things. Parents pay attention of their own accord and take special care of a child who is silent and make no demands on them. God too look after and provides everything to a person who is silent. If silence were not sweet, why should 2 lips get stuck up together when a man is silent? Sometimes it becomes necessary to speak when an occasion requires. Deliberate and international talk then appears pleasant because it is preceded by sweetness of silence. The earth is quiet, the sky is quiet, the sun, moon, and the stars, fields, and forms are all quiet, the rocks and stones are quiet, the river and the oceans are quiet, the entire creation is enjoying the pleasure of silence, but man knows no silence. Where the ocean extends for leagues and leagues, snow lies over the ground for miles and miles, and sands is sprayed over a vast desert. What wonderful silence must there be! Man's voice is heard only a small area in the town, but the area where the silence prevails has no limits. The eyes see everything and say nothing, but alas, the tongue which sees nothing babbles so much. God has given 2 ears and 1 mouth. We have therefore to listen to 2 things, and are privileged to speak but one. Rishis inculcated the worships of the idols, Thakurs of clay, because their deities are always silent. If a man were to observe perpetual silence, he would himself become a real Thakur or a deity. As long as the thing is not a trend, it is within our control, but once it is said, it goes out of our control. A green parrot was sitting amidst the green leaves of a tree. A hunter passed by, but he could not see anything except greenness. Suddenly the parrot spoke. The hunter became aware and caught at the parrot's. Instead, he heaved a cold sigh and said, alas, my speech was the cause of my trap. spoken man may have thousand faults, but he goes undetected if he's silent. A talkative man, even with no faults, will make himself liable to several faults. A wise man speaks not unless he sees that any more silence may cause him harm or misunderstanding. The poor lamb made a stutter while the oil in it got exhausted, and forthwith the upper part of the wick was cut or trimmed with a pair of scissors. It is apparent that by murmuring, the grumbler is deprived of even a part of that which is left with him. O heart, try to remain in silence, for you have got to be silenced eternally at one time or the other. The Quran. She could convert a drop of water into a pearl when it closed both the lips. If you were to hold your tongue, each word of yours would be worth more than a pearl. If you were to have your feet stretched in silence like a mountain, the summit of your honor too would reach the sky. The man who talks much is deaf, even though he has ears, for his own voice would not allow him to listen to others' speech. Whenever someone charges you with imaginary or foul misdemeanor, you should then, instead of discussing the matter with him, better smile and keep quiet. When a man interrupts your speech with his own thought, better stop talking. Remember that silent shutting mouth is 100 times more pleasant than mouthing your speech. However, when the speech, it cannot compare with sweetness of silence. Burn the dampness of the sins with the heat of silence, even as the heat of the sun burns the dump of the filth. Silence of the tongue is a topaz, and the silence of the mind is a priceless pearl. Disorders and dissensions arise out of speech. There is no other danger from silence. It has never been alleged that silence gave rise to anything evil. There is no ban on talking, but when you talk, say something which would plunge the listeners into ecstasy of silence. Silence is absence of speech. How could then the world express sweetness of silence? Homeland or native land, Vatan, Swadesh. Guru Nanak Dev has expressed that water is the father of all and earth is the mother. Sloka from Japsai. Hence, my ancestral home is where these two parents are. The body is made of the life elements. It abides in the five elements. Hence, the original homeland of the body lies in the five elements, which are in fact present everywhere. So it can be said that the native land of the body is everywhere. O wise man, the real homeland is Atma, soul. That is self. All that is besides self is a foreign land. Whenever I go, myself, soul is always present. Hence, my homeland is everywhere. When God is everywhere in perfection, how can there be any foreign land? Look divinely, and you will enjoy the pleasures of the native land everywhere. The sun is the same everywhere. So are the sky, earth, water, fire, and air. These things that constitute homeland are present everywhere. Therefore, every place is a homeland. Foreign land is only a delusion of the mind. God is our original homeland. There is no better patriotism than quest for the realization of God. Even otherwise, it's a particular dress of earth is denominated as a home for land. The first love should be for him who made the race. God is our father and we are his offspring. When we all are brothers, the homeland is in every place. Oh friend, homeland is a place from where out may never be alienated. Know that place as your homeland from where even death may not be able to tear you apart. Foreign land, Pradesh. The land that is not ours is called a foreign land. We all do leave this world, so this world is truly a foreign land, but not the homeland. Where the language spoken is different from that of ours, and customs and folds are also different. That country is said to be foreign. In this world, no one knows what the other man thinks, nor is anyone able to get true account of anything. If this is the state of affair, how then can this be a homeland, or it is all foreign land? Everybody says this is my homeland, but no one realizes that this land which we have to leave one day must be a foreign land. If you consider this land as a foreign land, then act with renunciation. If you regard this land as your homeland, then give up all the thoughts of malice and dissensions and move abroad and agree to win love from others. By giving love to them, love begets love. He who regards this homeland as a foreign and the so-called foreign land as the homeland understands truly, in fact, this world is the foreign land for us and the next world is our homeland. Wise and enlightened, Buzurg and Mahapurush. Wise man is he who remains unaffected by the ups and downs of the world, just as the sky remains unaffected by winds and storms. River water does not get polluted, even when town filth is immersed in it, but it remains pure and can quench the thirst of everybody. Similarly, wise man is he who is not affected by the evil actions of others and continues to do them good always. Just as the fruit of a tree is taken equally by good man as well as bad, in the same way wise man extends the benefit of his talent to all kinds of people. Greatness, wisdom does not depend upon age, but on the knowledge and experience of a person. The everyday business of a wise man is to console the afflicted heart, to enthuse the depressed one, to bring a smile to a man who is bad, and to lead the misguided to the right path. A wise man considers rock high mysteries of his own as petty as the grain of sand, but he regards petty mysteries of others as big as rock. Does not moonlight shine equally on the flower and the thorn? Similarly, a wise man is equally kind to a good man and a bad man. It is better to lose at the hands of a good man than to win at the hands of a bad man. Pluck any leaf of a flower, you will find that it will exhibit purity, softness, sweet smell, and the grace of the flower. In the same way, every good word spoke and step taken by a wise man will exhibit gladness, sattva, peace, and benignity. It is not necessarily great to whom many men bow, but he who boasts to others. He is great who turns poison into nectar, thorn into flower, darkness into light, and mystery to joy. The difference between Jnani, man of knowledge, and Jnani, ignorant, is that Jnani turns sorrow into joy, Ajnani turns joy into misery. The heart of an enlightened man is a mine of knowledge and good behavior. The heart of enlightened man is at the same time both soft as the cotton and hard as a rock. Oh, how wonderful that such a man is soft as cotton and has sympathies with the afflicted person, but is indifferent like a rock towards his own miseries. He is Siddh or gifted one who is ripened within. When a mango is in a raw condition, it appears green and is sour in taste, but as it gets ripe, it changes into golden color and becomes sweet in taste. One, on getting fully ripened, it separates itself from the twig. Similarly, a Siddh person or a gifted man, when he gets experience, sweetness of virtues and colorful effects of knowledge, becomes mature and radiant and separates himself from worldly attachment. He is then free from the duality, vanity, and selfishness. He is really Siddh who has no worldly desires in his heart, just as a tree throws fruit on the ground when it is struck with a stone. Earth yields gold when dug deep. Coral shell gives pearl when it is cut. In the same way, an enlightened man always yields happiness in return for the pain afflicted in him. The enlightened man so lives in this world that the people mourn and cry when he passes away, but he himself passes out with a smile. Oh brother, if you want to be enlightened, deal with others according to their disposition and ease. Do not behave arbitrarily, but bear in mind their feelings and conveniences. If an elderly man acts not with humility, his honor and prestige will be short-lived. Hayati, life, Jivan. There are so many things in this world that are not permanent, but there is nothing so inconsistent as life. That day is spent, which is utilized in service of humanity. That night is well spent, which is passed in prayer with full faith in God. Every breath that we take is more than a mine of gold. Alas, such wealth is being vested like shells, cauries on worldly matters. Of what use were 40 treasures of the Karun who had to leave them all here? Nothing accompanies a man except the Harinam, name of God. Remember God every moment. Who knows that this moment may be the last, the life of life. Like a farm to be cultivated for the next world. Whenever you sow here in this life, so shall you reap in the next. Days turn into night, night turns into day. This is how the life passes away. Those moments of life for you really spent, which are utilized in doing good to others and remembering His name. He lives not who lives for himself. He lives best who lives for others. Life becomes blessed if there is health and happiness. Otherwise, it is nothing but poison. Hence, do not make your life bitter with malice and irritation, but make it radiant with love and patience. If your family believe that God, who is love incarnated, is always present within your heart, then every word and act of yours will emanate love. What would you gain from transitory things better when God, who is immortal and everlasting, name and fame, wealth and possessions, body and health, keep waxing and many coming and going, even like a shadow? O friend, give up shadowy things and remember God is who is everlasting. O brother, you have come from God and to Him you are returning. Why then go on any other path? Death, Mrityu. Forgetfulness forever is termed death. Death is a perfect remedy for all pains and ills of life. Everyone is afraid of death, but no one even can evade death. He is afraid of death. Who feels himself alive, but death is afraid of him who considers himself as dead, one who conquers death. Goes smilingly straight to the lap of God when he actually dies. Life becomes more enjoyable when one lives like virtually dead after gaining self-control over senses. The man of knowledge, Jnani, dies in the point, but a Jnani during experiences pranks of death every moment due to the vicissitudes and mental apprehensions. Death appears bitter to everyone, but if one knows the art of dying while alive, nothing would appear to him more pleasant than death. Do not arsenic and and other poison become nectar after dying. Death lays curtain over the drama of sorrows and joys that is this world. Death is a calamity for those who are given to attachment. It is intrusion for the wise, bliss for the righteous, darkness for an ignorant jnani, and is nectar for the man of knowledge jnani. Who there is, were there no death, the world would be devoid of goodness and devotion. The fear of the death brings these virtues in man. Death is the prime protector of man as it keeps him alert and active to his own extent and leads him salvation, moksha, through the path of service. Where man is to fear death truly, he would be higher than an angel. The more one is attached to the worldly things, the more trouble he feels at the time of death. Even if you were to fall a prey in the mouth of the lion, he would not harm you if the moment of your death is not reached. If there is no day, there would be no night. If there is no life, there would be no death. Why not to say that? Just as night gives rise to the day, so does death give rise to life. Hence, death is the fountain spring of life. He who equates death with life has a heart always steadfast. Has said that instead of living under the fear of death, better get rid of it by drinking a cup of death while alive, and thereby live freely in the world. It is better to live in the stomach of the monster than to live constantly under the fear of monster. As long as you think that you are alive, you are wasting your life. Live life on the feeling that you are dead. You will then be free from the troubles and ills of existence, and your life will become full of meaning. O clay pot, ask yourself sometime what you are and what you consider yourself to be. Purity of heart, dil ji safai, hridaya ki swachhata. His pure heart is whose worst tongue and feelings heart are a concurrent. Pure heart is a mirror to see God within. Sin is a sin, but to hide the sin is the greatest sin. Hence, a man who speaks the truth cannot be guilty of sin. When fire is fully ignited, no smoke issue from the fagots. When the heart is pure, darkness of the sin disappears. Purity of the heart has rendered me so fearless that I fear not even for my foes. When I am pure, everything else appears pure to me. A crow does not turn to be a swan, even if it be regarded as a swan. You cannot become true sadhu or saint by being termed as such. Appearances are delusive. What if one is handsome? Purity of heart is such a beauty that it attracts even the angels. One cannot see God by haunting monasteries and temples. Peep within the temple of your mind. Lo, you'll find him there. However neat the house may be, yet it needs sweeping and cleaning every day. Even if you be utterly clean, you will have to clean your house always. There's a saying, the friend resides in the heart. Here, heart means affection or love. In fact, God resides where there is love. The child has a clean, pure heart, hence everyone is attracted towards it. When you come to be situated like a child, it could be said that your heart is really pure. Forget all that you have heard in the world till today so that your heart becomes clean. Just as the cloth is dyed after it is washed clean, so the color of self-knowledge can stick only to the heart that is rendered pure, clean, pure. The soul is an helper of a clean-hearted person is God himself. The pure-hearted person needs no human support. To be introvert is to enlighten one's heart. To be extrovert is to extinguish the light of the heart. The brightness of heart is more than that of this the moon or sun. He whose heart is bright needs no other light. One who understands his own fault clearly has a bright heart. Their defects in others become visible as long as one's own heart is not bright. As long as one's own heart is not bright. Brightness of heart is that telescope which brings into focus the heart condition of the three worlds. If the heart which becomes bright, the celestial things will be visible on the nails of one's hand. Like a candle, produce such a bright light within your heart that by sitting in a corner you can illuminate the entire world. This is your home. My body is a lantern in which my heart is a burning candle. I can see the panorama of the world within myself. One cannot attain God by the study of the big volume, study the book of the heart, for there is no scripture better than that. The heart is the throne on which is seated the refulgent Lord. He who believes this has his heart ever bright. Looking at the things with a jnani, ignorance brings entanglement and misery, while doing the same things with jnani, knowledge brings emancipation and joy. Keep your heart bright so that you may see the light everywhere. O friend, a peep within renders the heart bright. Therefore, occupy your heart constantly with an introspection so that your heart will keep bright like a light that is never extinguished. Thought. Vichar Khyan. Ah, how wonderful is the thought power. The whole universe dances to the thing of thought. Each thought control enhances the power Shakti, and each thought let loose curbs the power. It is said, if one is healthy, the world appears happy. If the heart is happy, the world cannot appear miserable. The saints are the masters of the territory of the mind. What a lovely kingdom they possess. Thought, the heart organism, is encased within the body, but the heart transcends the bounds of the earth and the sky and is far above them. The kingdom of the heart is worth more than 100 kingdoms of paradise. Patience, contentment, chastity, peace, satisfaction, love and introspectiveness, etc. are the treasures of the kingdom of heart. Oh brother, why do you overlook these countless treasures and seek riches outside? By conquering mind, one can conquer the world. Guru Nanak Dev Ji has said, to conquer the mind is to conquer the world. Your greatest enemy is Agyan, ignorance. Why consider anyone else as an enemy? The difference between a man of knowledge, Jnani, and the ignorant Agyani is that the latter lives within the boundaries of his thought, whereas the former transgresses the boundaries of thoughts. If you could keep out the bonds of your thought, no one can then bind you within the boundaries in both the worlds. The wonder in thought is in bind oneself and the world, but to the steadfast in thought is to reach the supreme. It is thought that binds. It is also thought that leads to salvation. Thought in this world as well as the next. That which is above thought is Atma Soul. This worldly ocean of pride is nothing but fancy of one's own mind. It is wonder that man feels miserable and frustrated by the fancies of his own mind. He who transcends thought across the ocean of pride to make thought as steadfast is to cross the boundary of thought. Everyone has heard about the tonics of gold, mercury, lead and tin, but thought is such a metal whose tonic would bring all occult power under control. Oh warrior, what does it matter how many persons you have killed in battle? Wrestle with your own mind and control it, let alone will the renown of your heroism spread in this world and the next. So long as I ran after thought, I felt distracted, but when I mastered the thought, I was freed of all the worries and apprehensions. It is not the circumstances that cause distraction, but it is the thought that pulls one down. How could it otherwise be that a man in loincloth eating dry bread be happy while the rich man may feel dejected? It is not the thought that troubles a person, but the anxiety thought of thought that makes him miserable. If one were not to give any heed of thought to thought, the thought would not affect him at all. All things in this world are for our happiness. The world appears miserable because of our thinking. The man is a creature of circumstances, but none of these is characterized by sorrow or joy of his own accord. They take the shape of the way we look at them, and accordingly they reflect pleasure or pain of our own thinking. There are certain circumstances in this world which cannot be changed, but their effect may be modified to a great extent by adjustment in our thoughts. To act according to the dictates of the mind is folly, but it is necessary to listen to the counsel of the mind with a view to attain happiness by acting contrary to the behest of the mind. The interval between two thoughts is eternity. O brother, try to prolong the interval of silence between the vanishing of one thought and rising of the other. The state of mind in that period of silence is the spring of ambrosia. Try to drink of that water. The mind is instrumental in the accomplishment of both worldly and spiritual needs. Then why to condemn the mind? One who knows how to use mind properly becomes monarch of the mind, and it's always happy. Mind is an ocean of fancies. What does the ocean care for the waves knowing this? Do not get worried at fancies. Everything in this world is a mirror in which one sees reflection of his own thought and nothing else. He who entertains evil thoughts thinks everything to be evil. But the one who's good in himself sees the bright image of the goodness everywhere. It is said mosquitoes swarm over the weak animal. It is true that outer diseases attack a person who is physically weak within. Similarly, a weak mind is the cause of all kinds of sins coming into being. As long as the mind is steady and firm, no outer condition can disturb it. It is said truly, the snake may not kill, but the aim of the serpent kills assuredly. The mind is always juvenile, childlike. A child may grow to be an adult, but the mind is not. Hence, it should always be dealt with carefully as a foolish juvenile. Who's mighty? One who steers his thought according to his own wish, or can get rid of it at his will. Learn to concentrate your mind. Concentration is that elixir which bestows success in every undertaking. Human body is like a pond. If there is no flow of fresh water from the river to the pond, the water in the pond will get contaminated and there will be influx of insects and mosquitoes. Oh brother, keep the pond of your heart fresh by flowing in it the nectar from the divinity through the pipe of love. If the Puranas and scriptures are myths, then human existence is no less a myth. He is immortal who is devoid of the thought who is going to happen the next moment. What is going to happen the next moment? The world is a tempest made of your own thought. Correct your thought and everything will appear to be all right. Correction of thought means making thought as steadfast. Our shadows will not disappear in front until we face the light. Similarly, we should get rid of thought only when we turn our face to the soul Atma. When mind gets inclined to reality absolute, the thought becomes steadfast of its own accord and senses get filled with bliss. Sorrow and joys are the results of thought. Wisest is he who does not allow the thought to flow towards sorrow. Instead, he extracts happiness from it. It is not the labor that brings agony to a man, but it is the thought that weighs heavily upon the mind like a rock. Oh friend, the work has got to be done. If it is to be done with grumbling, it will appear to be magnified. If it is done gladly, with steadfastness, it will appear pleasant. The mind is a sitar musical instrument. It is for you to bring out the melodies or meaningless tunes. Oh friend, musical instrument is that which gives out melodies. Bring love. Wow, love you, God. Love is a true nectar which fills the heart of a man with immortal happiness. The life plant remains green and fertile when it is watered with love. A man would not be intoxicated even if he sits near a jar conditioning wine for 100 years. But a sip of it would bring him intoxication. Similarly, to listen to the tales of love and devotion is one thing, but to drink a cup of love and devotion and be intoxicated with it is another. Love you, God. If the heart is full of love, where is the need of assistance? Love is such a magic transported. It can make one reach his destination. People ask for your darshan, but I ask for separation from the test. Taste of yearning for union is 100 times sweeter than that of meeting. A moment of misery is equal to a whole year, but a year of yearning passes off as if it were a moment. Yearning for God may be termed to be love, when it resembles the restlessness of a fish for water, longing of sick person for health, craving of hungry for food, or a demand of thirsty for water. A true devotee always likes to remain hidden. He who makes a show of love knows not what real love is. Sacrifice yourself for God at the altar of love. What have you to do with the praise or calumny of others? Calumny is a pearl in the necklace of love, and ill fame is the splendor of the light of love. What fear has he who has the king for his friend? Similarly, what fear or worry has he who has pleased God with his love? Be so intoxicated in love devotion that you see only that your beloved God wherever you look. For all intoxications of love is the uppermost. It is such an intoxication that it does not disappear even after the whole universe is destroyed. When the trace of the sun are focused at a point through the magnifying lens, fire is produced. In the same way, by concentrating love at one spot, the heart gets filled with the beautiful, wonderful energy of love. It is with this Shakti energy that Sakti Savitri was able to revive her deceased husband. What an unparalleled blessedness of love. If you get deeply absorbed in love, there will remain neither a lover nor a love. True love, devotion is that state of mind in which one gets so intoxicated that he loses consciousness of oneself as well as of the beloved. Miscellaneous sayings. Vivid Vachan. God is immanent in us, but how can we realize Him? Without a search, but it is present in God, but how can we one get it without churning? Knock that the door be open. In beauty and feel, in love and hate, in light and darkness, in self and in others, it is you who are revealing slightly the hues of your own self. Whom shall I consider and treat an enemy when there is none else except yourself? The summum of 100 version is that he who is free from ego is God-like. The whole life has been spent in the study of scripture by the way of to realization is as far off as ever. I came to be aware of destination only when I felt that there was no strength left to foot off the distance. The education is worth acquiring, which eradicates malice and ill will. The learned man who malice and ill will in him is no better than the uneducated. Bad companions are like charcoal, but hot they ill burn you. When cool they will blacken your hands and cloth. It is truly said, as the company so the color. The food of the lamp is darkness, and what comes in the form of the suit is also black. It is truly said the diet has effect on the mind. He who is aware of the value of bhakti and devotion feels the hard disciplinary exercise of practitioner sadhik as pleasant as nectar. Man threw stones as trees bearing fruit in order that the fruit may fall down. A good man is scandalized in order that virtues and good things in him become manifest. Whatever you see that with your eyes is transitory. Always speak sweetly with your tongue. Remember the name of God in your heart always. If you were to practice these three exercises, you would not need any other spiritual exercise. The value of diamond is the same whether it is the ground or in a crown. The diamond shines in its own glory. The sense likewise are radiant as a jewel under all circumstances. The earth sends storm and the dust up in the sky, but in return the skies pours rains on the earth to make it fertile. But God, men ignore the evils done by others and continue to do good to them. The person who of course meets his foe as a friend can only make money out of dust. Everyone goes empty-handed from this world, only that which is given in charity goes along. Immortal is he whose good name is sung after him. For a person who has already earned a good name, it is immaterial whether ceremonial lamps is lighted or not lighted after his death. Worldly cravings so blind the heart that one is not able to discriminate between the true and the false. Abstinence is the quintessence of all medical recipes. A king is poorer than the poor is if he is greedy, while a poor having a liberal mind is richer than a king. While asleep, the poor and the rich are alike. A man who is devoid of knowledge, jnani, is dead even when he is alive. What is a wise man understands, why a hint the unwise does not understand. Even 1,000 instruction. Intelligence is of a great value, and not for a wise and a rod for a fool. To speak little is a sign of wisdom, and to speak more is that of folly. Greed is a terrible scatterlism. Contentment is the treasury of joy. A man is regarded fortunate to the extent he invites and listens to a good counsel. Depth is that pair of scissors that gets ascended to friendly relationship. How can worldly thoughts befit a heart? Does it befit a temple to have filth in it? Just as preparation for a night journey are made during the daytime, so should provision for old age be made during the time of youth. The people are so stupefied in the concourse of the world that they are not able to know who is the guest and who is the host. Oh friend, if you were to understand who is the host and who is the guest in this house that this world is, you will rid get rid of all ills and eggs. Do devote some time to meditate and ask, who am I? What is the world and who is its creator? Everyone gets up from sleep before the rays of sun spread all around. Graying of hair indicates the nearness of death at last. Even with all this indication, we do not wake up from the sleep of ignorance and jnana. Remember the goodness of the God to you and try to do good to all men. The wise man thinks twice before he does anything, for he knows that the arrow ones later from the bow will not come back. He who needs not the instructions receives chastisement. The teacher gives proper chastisements to the students who do not improve from his instructions. It is said that Sri Sarkatawali, that the huge water of the ocean is of no use if it cannot assuage thirst. Though the well is small, but its water is more valuable as it quenches the thirst. In the same way, the wealth of the millionaire is of no use if it is not able to satisfy the needs of the needy. A little money of the poor man is more useful if it is used to give happiness to the needy. He is a fool whose thinking is not correct. He is brute who does not speak properly. He is a monster whose conduct is not good. Sarvachan, Tattva, Vachan, Piti sings. The pith of the instructions conveyed in all the scriptures. If the thought, speech, word, and action, deed must always be correct under all circumstances. Man is full of defects, but the greatest of defects is to consider oneself defectless. What does the crow know of the melodious voice of the nightingale bulbul? It is only the enlightened one can appreciate the teachings of the great man. The seed of the tree of the world is thought. There would be no world without thoughts. To control the thought is to do away with the world. All the different parts of creation are so many rays of the light of the Creator. Hence, to think of duality or otherness has no meaning. Attachment to anything whatsoever renders a man blind and deaf. It is better death who lives for himself. He who dies for others lives forever. Time is above price. The moment that is spent cannot come back, even if a kingdom is offered for its return. In this world, everyone wears the costume of his own fortune made by the yawn of his karma's action. Time is greater healer. All bodies and pains will disappear with the passage of time. Misery is a remedy where joy is a melody, for misery makes a man humble while joy makes him proud. No one gets bankrupt by giving in charity. More the water is drawn from the well, the more it gets cleaner and sweeter. To admit an offense is to get rid of offending habit. The greatest art is to keep the mind occupied. The greatest learning is awareness of one's own ignorance. The day spent in good deeds is an auspicious day. The food that is shared with others is more delicious. Remain ever a student in this world. He who becomes a preceptor is divested of the joy of learning forever. If the heart is happy, everything appears pleasant. Keep the world fragrant by the fragrance of yours way of life. Fools do not learn anything from the wise man, where the wise man learns precisely from the fools. The man without contentment is a poor man, though he may have riches. Those who lack patience lack the art of enjoying happiness. Idleness is the mind from which all sin springs up. It is the root cause of all diseases. Idleness is prone to mischief. Too much of speaking is prone to mistakes, whereas too little speaking is not attended with subsequent repentance. Reading of many scriptures does not illuminate the inner self, whereas concentrating on one word mantra reveals the secret of this world and the next. Wise men have said, fear those who are afraid of you. If the heart is pure, why should one be afraid of anything? Have you seen anyone afraid of daylight? The fool is his own enemy. How can then he be a friend to anyone else? Truth is always something easy. There is not twist or turn, longevity or detailed description required in that which is true. A wise man who's poor is happier than an unwise who's rich. Wisdom makes up for his deficiency in worldly things. He has perfect vision who can see his own faults. He has sound ears who can patiently listen to his own ills. His tongue is believable who can describe his own shortcomings. His hands are useful who serves both others with pleasure. His feet are firm who walks with glee for the welfare of others. The tree of anger has its seeds in senselessness, madness, and its fruit in that distractness, distress. The difference between unwise and wise is that the former desires riches while the latter desires perfection. To sit idle, unoccupied is like a funeral for a man. To keep himself busy occupied brings luster to the living. He who considers himself to be a master lives in the life of a servant. He who serves truly is a true master. A man who is no respect for others is like a body without breath. Sleep puts a question to the eye. Oh, eye, you can see eyes of the world. Pray tell me, what am I? The great man has said, the day I stopped plucking flowers, all the flowers were owned by me. Similarly, the day I gave up pleasures of my palate, all tasty things became mine. Consult an experienced man and not a physician, for the advice of an experienced man is 100 times better than a prescription of a physician. Do not advise a person who has no faith in you. Say Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji has said, give the teacher the instructions to that body only who has faith. A great man suffers 100 hardships to please one heart and 100 pricks of thorn to preserve a flower. Even one evil deed destroys the good done during lifetime, so never give up goodness. If the body is weak, it matters not, but the heart should not be weak. Even dust is useful in many ways. If you are not of use to anyone, then you are worse than the dust. No matter. No fruit can come forth from the shadow of the tree. Similarly, no good can come from out of evil. It is good to let a tyrant remain asleep as long as he will. Forgive once blessed the tyrant with the worst. May you always be a slave. Do not regard them as friends who praise you. Those who criticize you are your real friends. Why should I not regard him as my friend or well-wisher who shows me the thorns in my path, that is, who points out to me my defects and faults? To surrender to God with all your actions and occupation is truly the biggest effort one can put forth. Reverence or courtesy is better than dominion over the world and more valuable than the treasures of Cuba. If you desire that God may forgive your sins, you have better forgive the sins of others. A brave youth is not the one who is strong in body, but one who slays anger. Patience is that stage of spiritual realization which can turn poison into nectar and desert into a garden. Countless rich persons have departed from this world. Only the names of those rich persons have survived who distributed their wealth among the poor and needy. The wise man speaks once, but the fool babbles 1,000 times. One's priceless jewel is worth much more than 1,000 caudies of shell. The wise ones seal their tongues because they see that the poor candle is being burnt in the tip of the wick. There's always need for something, but the means are few and far between. Oh brother, if you desire to have a true happiness, reduce your needs, reduce and keep redoing further your wants. Wise is he who does not forget the initial helplessness of infancy. As long as there is breath in one's body, his thoughts require some support or solace for someone. It is therefore said that there is no salvation without Guru's support. Everyone needs some support in life. Have God in your pillow as your pillow or support. He is a fortunate who listens gladly to the voice of instruction. More fortunate is he who acts according to that instruction. The true condition of beauty is revealed when skin is taken up off. Moderation in behavior is the safest behavior. Brag not, for after all you have to give up this world. Action is the exercise of discrimination and deliberation. It means that one should act after taking into consideration the facts like littleness or importance of each thing, demand of time and place, and other factors. There's no snare more trapping than habit. It is one's own habit that makes one helpless and a slave. He who does not follow wrong customs is free from the wheel of existence or rebirth. No living being can cause unhappiness to the one who does not make himself unhappy. Unless one's thoughts causes unhappiness, is otherwise no unhappiness anywhere else in the world. He who, on listening any slander against himself, forgets it immediately as a hero. He who harms none suffers no harm. It all depends upon you and not on anyone else. We mix only the one whom we know or about whom we have some gyan knowledge. Hence, knowledge of gyan brings union or separation. What is the basis of all relationship? Belief of faith in another. What is reality, gyan or knowledge? Even corporeal body is of no use without jnana and knowledge. Every cell in the body of an eye of knowledge for jnana and knowledge is dripping from all scenes, including the senses, including the skin. Even after death, innumerable living organisms exude from the body. Actions follow knowledge jnana. The mason, the carpenter, and all other artisans first acquire knowledge of jnana, of what they got to make. Thus, it is knowledge first and then action. The original scripture is that of perception, intuition. All scriptures spring from it. He who has studied the scripture of perception need not study any other. The perception and intuition is that which exists prior to all actions and plans. Time is nobody's friend. Look at the condition of a river. It was in full swing in summer, barely a month later in autumn it went down to the bottom. Oh wise man, there's no reliance on time when it is not able to fulfill its faith with the river. How can it keep faith with you? How can the turmoil of the numerous creeds, talks, books, and thoughts allow a man's mind to be steady? The mind can never be steadfast without faith. Utterances in its scripture give knowledge, jnana, their understanding leads to light, and their assimilation causes comfort. Do not cry over the vicissitudes of worldly fortune. Cry over the weakness of the heart that sheds tears because of the vicissitudes. A gram of musk is 1,000 times better than the heap of dust. Similarly, a word of intuition is worth more than the spate of nonsensical talk of speech. Atma Gyan, self-knowledge. Atma Gyan. Atma means self. Gyan means knowledge or understanding. Thus, Atma Gyan means knowledge of one's own self. He who knows his self knows God. Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, egoism is a disease of which remedy rests with ego. Egoism is the great disease. But if one were to know self, not the ego, the melody of egoism will disappear. This world is a sports ground for the Lord. But this wonderful sport is visible to him who is free of the ego. Happiness cannot be obtained by chanting circumstances or localities. With disappearance of ego, one can be happy anywhere and under all circumstances. The mind by its nature keeps wandering like a monkey. Oh brother, you know that you are not the mind, but something apart from the mind. You are the knower of the mind. Separate yourself and look at the mind. When this monkey will immediately obey your orders like a slave. The body changes with the age. Thoughts change with the company, friendship. Beliefs change with circumstances, but no one feels, even in a dream, that he has been transformed into something else. It is thus evident that the soul is always the same. The world is a sport, and I'm only a spectator of this sport. How can the spectator get into trouble because of this sport? If you were to remain only a spectator of all things in this world, you would not suffer any pain or sorrow. In the bazaar that in this world, everybody is looking at one or the other thing with astonishment, but I am wondering who that onlooker is. The difference between Jnani, man of knowledge, and Jnani, ignorant, is that a Jnani identifies himself with his sport, Maya, where the Jnani considers himself as a mere spectator of the sport. By looking at the beauty of the world, I was so much absorbed in the beauty of his creator that world's beauty receded from my mind. If you want to see God, then close your eyes to the outer world. If you want to hear the voice of God, then plug your ears with cotton wool to keep off all of the sounds. The greatest pilgrimage is the barricade all the gateways of the senses and dive deep in the waters of heart. The soul Atma is that imponderable substance which cannot be tangible. That which can be seized is no soul Atma. That which seizes is the soul. The gopis could not hold Lord Krishna because he was the seer himself. If you were to see your beloved God within your heart, your body would be a temple. When I saw the beloved within my heart, I felt peace, comfort. I got rid of all surge and anxiety when I found him within inner recesses of my being. I discovered at last that he for whom I was searching outside is seated within my heart. If you desire to see God, do not entertain any other worldly desire in your heart. The beauty in this world is only a ray of the beauty that is in your inner self. If you were to see your inner beauty, you will forget every other beauty. Human being, Jiva is a touchstone of joy. Whatsoever that touchstone touches turns into a joyous treasure. It means a human being gets joy from those things whom he considers his own. The world impinges on your recollection because you have forgotten yourself. While you have solved in yourself, the world will not be remembered by you. If a man were to find joy in himself, he would not recollect any other joy. Sleeping instead is followed by making state, and vice versa. I remains the same in both states, waking as well as sleeping. All joys are of one's own self. So long as the self is with us, why need we care for joys? Oh, friend, is God. Joy is to have in a joy always. Self is such a peculiar object about which no one can pointedly say this is self. So long as he points out, it means the speaker stands apart from the self. All things appear to me as I perceive them. They all manifest themselves in response to my thinking. There is nothing that is devoid of I. If the material thing could speak, they would also say I. That means all continents, all worlds here and above have the I form. There is nothing outside I. This I is called the universal soul Atma. He who understands I and is absorbed in I is divested of I. If I were to go out of my own self, where could I go? Wherever I go, I must be there. If I were to broaden the eyes of your heart, you could see the ocean in a drop of water and heap in the single grain. Pride springs as long as one sees himself circumscribed within boundaries. If one were to feel himself unbounded, infinite, there would be no place for pride, egoism. Who is to see the seed? Who is to know the knower? I said to the beloved that I was thirsting to have a sight of him. He replied, see your own self and quench that thirst. I said again that I was eager to sit by his side. He replied, sit with your own self to fulfill that desire. If you want to perceive God, perceive your own self. He who knows this, his own self, knows God. Just as a bubble is a part of ocean, a flower that of a garden, a grain that of a heap, and a ray that of sun, so is a human being of God absolute. He who has no desire whatsoever, why should he wander outside for? He who is happy within, why should he look out for any other happiness? When I stopped searching outside, could see all the three worlds within. When I controlled the test, I got the test of all the 36 nectars. Every blade of grass, every leaf of a tree, and every grain of the sand is beckoning towards unity. It is one.